Some animated villains are more misguided than evil. Others build their whole personality around making everyone else miserable. So here are the least versus most evil villains from every animation studio. Starting with Pixar's least evil villain, Sid Phillips from Toy Story.
No one's ever attempted a double bypass brain transplant before.
Right off the bat, you can tell this kid has issues. Sid's favorite pastime is ripping apart toys and stitching them back together like he's running a plastic Frankenstein workshop. No wonder every toy in Andy's house avoids him like the plague.
Well, we have ways of making you talk.
Sid literally burns Woody's forehead with a magnifying glass just for the heck of it. So yeah, Sid's behavior is deeply concerning, but he isn't inherently evil. As messed up as his treatment of toys is, he doesn't actually know they're alive. His evil mostly comes from ignorance rather than actual malice. And there's also no way this kid turned out like this completely on his own. The film hints at Sid having an alcoholic dad when he's passed out in front of the TV surrounded by empty beer cans. Plus, what kind of parents let their child casually use explosives in the backyard? I think it's fair to say that Sid is clearly an inventive child, but the lack of parental guidance in his life makes his creativity come out in the creepiest ways. By the end, though, Sid learns his lesson in a truly traumatizing way.
So play nice.
That's how it feels!
In the end, Sid was just a chaotic kid who didn't know any better. On the other hand, Syndrome from The Incredibles takes one bad childhood experience and turns it into a 15-year revenge plan. Syndrome, also known as Buddy, started out as a fanboy who got rejected by his idol. Instead of just brushing it off or finding a healthier role model, Buddy became Syndrome and built his entire personality around that one bad day. One of his big goals was to create an Omnidroid to defeat Mr. Incredible. But to do so, he lured supers to his island and used them as test subjects to improve his machine. So basically, Syndrome carried out a superhero genocide just to get revenge on one man who told him to go home. And the wildest part is that despite claiming to hate superheroes, he still wants to be one.
And just when all hope is lost, Syndrome will save the day!
His genius plan is to unleash the Omnidroid on innocent civilians just so he can swoop in as the hero who saves everyone.
This is a good plan.
But lo and behold, the Omnidroid ends up whooping his own butt instead. And when Syndrome wakes up to see the Incredibles defeat his robot and get welcomed by the public again, he somehow finds an even lower place to go.
And in time, who knows? He might make a good sidekick.
As if his long list of crimes weren't enough, this guy decides to add infant theft on top of it. Sure, Buddy was humiliated and hurt as a kid, but it's been 15 years, Syndrome.
Just move on.
That's what makes him Pixar's most evil villain. Unlike Sid, Syndrome knew exactly what he was doing when he committed all those atrocities. Meanwhile, Disney gave us Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, who barely knows what he's doing half the time.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Clearly, Kronk is less of an evil mastermind and more of a confused himbo who somehow has better morals than the actual protagonist. Unlike Kuzco, who only ever thinks about himself, Kronk is kind to almost everyone. He cares about animals, speaks fluent squirrel, and gets super excited about spinach puffs. If anything, he's more Disney princess than Disney villain. But of course, we can't just ignore his antics.
Fat poison?
Yes, that poison.
Kronk isn't completely innocent because he does help Yzma in her attempt to kill Kuzco, but even then, he doesn't come across as cruel. His biggest issue is that he's too gullible and keeps trusting the wrong person. Still, Kronk's conscience is always fighting to get through. Even if he does something bad, he actually feels conflicted about it. And eventually, he draws the line when Yzma commits the one crime he simply can't forgive.
And do you want to know something else? I've never liked your spinach puffs.
It's crazy that Kronk barely flinches when Yzma calls him a big stupid monkey. But the second she insults his spinach buffs, even Angel Kronk looks ready to throw hands. From there, Kronk finally breaks free from Yzma's control and tries to stop her from killing Kuzco. So in the grand Disney villain lineup, Kronk is barely evil, and unlike most villains, he still has a conscience. And speaking of having a conscience, let yours guide you to the subscribe button, unless, of course, your shoulder devil has other plans. But anyway, while Kronk keeps questioning whether he should do the wrong thing, Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame does the wrong thing in the name of righteousness.
This is an unholy demon. I'm sending it back to hell where it belongs.
Hold on.
Who died and gave you the right to play God? Not only was he fully ready to drown Quasimodo in a well, but he had just killed the baby's mother seconds earlier on the cathedral steps. And somehow, in Frollo's mind, he's still the good guy. After the Archdeacon forces him to raise Quasimodo, Frollo doesn't show him compassion or even basic human kindness. Instead, he raises him to be insecure and completely dependent on him.
When your heartless mother abandoned you as a child, anyone else would have drowned you.
Well, well, well.
For years, this guy has kept Quasimodo trapped in the bell tower, feeding him a version of reality where Frollo is his savior. And as if that wasn't enough, Frollo is also obsessed with hunting down the Romani people. And somehow, he still finds room to get worse.
So typical of your kind to twist the truth to cloud the mind with unholy thoughts.
Dude, weren't you the one sniffing Esmeralda's hair and touching her neck like a creep just a few seconds ago?
Yeah, that brother's starving.
In fact, Frollo has an entire musical number where he blames Esmeralda for his own lust. And when she refuses to submit to him, he decides the next logical step is execution. Unlike other Disney villains, Frollo is just a human being using his position to punish anyone he sees as beneath him, which makes him even more terrifying because men like Frollo feel too real.
Fake news.
But while Frollo was human yet very much a monster, Sony gave us Ericka Van Helsing, who falls in love with the monster who's somehow more human than Frollo. In Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, Ericka starts as a maniacal monster hunter from the Van Helsing family. Like the rest of her family, she's been raised to believe monsters are dangerous threats to humanity, especially Dracula. Throughout the cruise, she tries and fails to kill him multiple times. Unfortunately for Dracula, though, he zings the second he sees Ericka, so he misses every red flag she throws his way. But once Ericka actually spends time with Dracula, she begins to soften towards him.
You have to honor the past, but we make our own future.
For the first time, she sees Dracula as more than the monster her family warned her about. She watches him care for his family and treats others with actual kindness. Seeing Dracula's sincere side makes Ericka open up about her own childhood, and the two grow closer. Ericka, therefore, is just a product of lifelong conditioning and not inherently evil. The only reason she even hates Dracula is that her great-grandfather holds a grudge against him. But once Ericka gets to know him, she begins questioning everything she was taught. And when Dracula is in danger, she finally chooses her own future over her family's hatred.
It's time to start a new legacy!
A monster-human legacy.
To Van Helsing's horror, Ericka risks her life to save Dracula from the Kraken. She directly challenges the belief that all monsters are evil, and eventually, even her great-grandfather realizes he was wrong when Dracula saves his life. So in the Sony villain lineup, Ericka is hardly the devil incarnate. She eventually learns that monsters aren't as terrifying as she once thought. Meanwhile, Sony also shows us that some monsters are just as terrible as they seem.
I understand. You are weak. Pathetic. Useless.
Guima from K-pop Demon Hunters rules the underworld, and apparently his management style is just screaming and murder. This guy's entire purpose is to use his army of demons to harvest human souls so he can feed on them. But Guima doesn't just send demons to do his dirty work, he also turns people's weaknesses against them.
Don't forget about our deal, Gino, because I can turn those voices up.
Before becoming a demon, Gino was just a human boy living in poverty and trying to survive. But then Guima got inside his head and offered him everything he wanted, a beautiful singing voice and a life full of luxury. Gino, in his desperation, accepts Guima's offer, but in return, he chooses to abandon his family and lose his soul. And that's exactly how Guima traps him. He weaponizes Gino's shame, using it to keep him in check, and he uses that same tactic against Huntrix.
You're too much and not enough. You'll never belong anywhere, but I can give you a place to belong.
Guima attacks Zoe with the exact thought she's probably been trying to outrun her whole life. That's what makes him so terrifying. A physical villain is scary, but a villain who knows exactly what you're insecure about is even more dangerous. Guima therefore finds people at their weakest and ensures they stay trapped there. But while he corrupts souls and turns people's guilt into a prison, Ken's biggest crime in DreamWorks' B-movie is being reasonably concerned about a talking bee.
Oh, bye-bye.
Why is yogurt night so difficult?
Someone please give this man his yogurt night. Ken might be framed like the jealous boyfriend, but honestly, he's the only sane person in this movie. All he wants is to spend time with his girlfriend, and for a while, everything seems fine. That is, until Barry shows up and turns Ken's relationship into the world's weirdest interspecies love triangle.
You know I'm allergic to them. This thing could kill me.
Well, why does his life have any less value than yours?
Does life have any less value than yours?
This should have been Ken's first sign that Vanessa wasn't the woman for him, because in this case, he isn't freaking out for no reason. And as the movie goes on, Ken has even more reasons to be suspicious as the bee constantly spends time with Vanessa. So when he sees Barry sitting in his chair and mocking him, Ken officially loses it.
Yeah? How do you like the smell of flames?
Not as much.
Okay, not his finest moment, but I still get where Ken is coming from. All he wants is for the bee to be out of his apartment and his life, which is honestly the most understandable villain motivation on this entire list. So, in the long list of DreamWorks villains, Ken is barely scratching the surface of evil. He's just a man who got third-wheeled by a bee. But the studio more than makes up for it with a villain who's just unapologetically evil.
You're not gonna shoot a puppy, are you, Jack?
Yeah, in the face. Why?
Right away, you can see how Jack Horner from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish genuinely enjoys being a villain. And it's not just innocent animals he doesn't care about. Jack also treats his own henchmen like disposable equipment, literally using them as a bridge to walk over. Unlike most villains, Jack doesn't have a tragic past or some emotional wound that helps us understand him. He's just cruel, selfish, and extremely proud of it.
All of the magic in the world. For me, and no one else gets any.
You're crazy. I'm not.
This man already has money, power, a baked goods empire, and a granny bag full of magical weapons. But apparently, that still isn't enough. Jack despises the fact that other fairy tale characters got legendary stories while he was stuck with an uncool nursery rhyme. So naturally, his solution is to use the wishing star to take all the magic in the world for himself. And somehow, Jack's lack of humanity gets so bad that even the ethical bug gives up on him.
You're an irredeemable monster!
What took you so long, idiot?
At least he is honest.
Most villains try to justify themselves with destiny or some dramatic childhood pain, but Jack's villain origin is basically having everything, but wanting everyone else's everything too. He's the kind of man who would sacrifice anyone, hoard all the magic in the world, and still ask what he did wrong, making him one of the most evil villains in modern animation.